Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radha, Jai Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radha, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Asta Sakhi Jai Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Lord Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So Sriram Prabhu, we can start.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
You'd like to introduce yourself? I will introduce you.
Yes,
go
Prabhu.
ahead, Das Prabhu. You like to do, you do. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So first of all, we'll welcome all the devotees joined today for this session. So with us we have His Grace Vishnurata Prabhu. So he is Vishnurata was from Indonesia, born in Indonesia, and in June 1993, got introduced to ISKCON in 2004, and is currently based in Mayapur. He does numerous services. Currently, he's the secretary director for IDBM India, and he's co-manager for Mayapur Harinam Sankirtan. If you can see the photo, also he's doing Sankirtan there. And he's admission director, steering committee member, and board member and treasurer for Varnashram College Online. And he's teaching Bhakti Sastri online course in English and Bahasa, the Indonesian language. And also he's in teaching the ISKCON disciple course. So yeah, with this we welcome Prabhu and request everyone please be attentively here. Over to you,
I'd
Prabhu.
like to add one point here,
Yes,
with all
Prabhu,
your
please.
permission.
Sure, Prabhu.
Vishnurata Prabhu is a very loving disciple of Bhakti Raghav Maharaj. Is dedicated his life as a Grihastha Mataji, and he has a son staying in Mayapur for many years. He is my dear friend, my dear god brother. Very fortunate to have him. I've seen him from the many years before. He's the same, very humble and sincere and dedicated his mission. I've seen many times whatever Bhakti Raghav Maharaj says, he follows as it is. The quality of serving spiritual master is exemplary to me personally. Thank you, Vishnurata, for being with us. Like to please enlighten us what we should do in life.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much to all the devotees here for this kind opportunity. Although I'm utterly unqualified, but by your mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Guru and Goranga, so please bless me sincerely from your heart, so I may say something useful to purify all of us, especially Hare Krishna. So we will start with the Mangala Charan prayers to invoke auspicious before we start reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shwapadantikam Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Panebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panguram Kayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitaneshwaram Katanchana Smriti Yasmin Duskaram Sukaram Bhavat Vismriti Viparitam Shat Sri Chaitanyanam Hare Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna Dharma Projito Kaitavatra Paramo Nirmat Saranam Satam Vedyam Vastavam Atvastu Sivadam Tapatayan Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vaparer Ishwaraha Sadyo Hridya Varudyatitra Kritibe Susru Subis Takshanat. So Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So it is mentioned that that is actually the second verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, first canto, first chapter, text number 2. So Kim Vapar Ishwaraha. So Kim Vapar Ishwara. What is there the need of any other scriptures if we have Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah. Sadyo Hridya Varudyatitra Kritibi Susru Subi Tachana. Simply by submissively and sincerely hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord will manifest in our heart. Sadyo Hridya Varudyate. So let us take this opportunity, gathering here together with all the sadhus, the devotees, to discuss about Srimad Bhagavatam. So today, the topic of our discussion is what is the purpose of human life? And I was given 3 verses actually yesterday by Vishwambar Prabhu. Yeah, I think that was directed by Sriram Prabhu. That from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, text 30, 31, and 32. Yeah. Chapter entitled Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakasipu. So today, I will just recite text number 30 because the purport quite long for these 3 verses. And these 3 verses actually very well-known verses. And I highly recommend to everybody here that we must memorize these 3 verses. Yeah, very, very essential. Of course, we find, especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many verses talking about what is the purpose of human life. And yeah, one of those verses is this one. Okay, so text number 30, 5th chapter, 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I just read it once. You don't have to repeat. Time consideration also. Sri Prahlada Vacha Matirna Krishne Parata Swatova Mitho Vipadyeta Griha Vratanam Andhant Gobir Visatam Dameshram Puna Puna Charvita Charvananam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by instruction of others, by their own effort, or by combination of both. Purport. In this verse, the word Matirna Krishna refer to devotional service rendered to Krishna. So-called politicians, erudite scholars, and philosophers who read Bhagavad Gita try to twist some meaning from it to suit their material purposes. But their misunderstandings of Krishna will not yield them any profit, because such politicians, philosophers, and scholars are interested in using Bhagavad Gita as a vehicle for adjusting things materially. For them, constant thought of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is impossible. Matir na Krishna. So actually this word mati means attraction. Yeah, attraction. Matir Madhu Pate Sakrit. We find that verse in the prayers of Queen Kunti. So as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text number 55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only through devotional service can one understand Krishna as he is. So-called politicians and scholars think of Krishna as fictitious. Politician says that this Krishna is different from the Krishna depicted in the Bhagavad Gita. Even though he accepts Krishna and Ram as the supreme, he thinks of Ram and Krishna as impersonal because he has no idea of service to Krishna. Thus, his only business is puna puna charvita charvananam, chewing the chewed again and again. The aim of such politicians and academic scholars is to enjoy this material world with their bodily senses. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that those who are griha brata, whose only aim is to live comfortably with a body in the material world, cannot understand Krishna. The two expressions, griha brata and charvita charvananam, indicate that a materialistic person tries to enjoy sense gratification in different bodily forms, life after life, but is still unsatisfied. In the name of personalism, this ism or that ism, such persons always remain attached to the materialistic way of life, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 44, Bhogaishwarya Prashaktanam, Ayapahrita Chetasam, Vyavashatvikabdi, Samadhauna Vidiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Those who are attached to material enjoyment cannot be fixed in devotional service to the Lord. They cannot understand Bhagavan, Krishna, or his instruction, Bhagavad Gita. Andanta Gobir Visatam Tamishra. Their path actually leads toward hellish life. As confirmed by Rishabhadev, Mahat Sevam Dwara Mahur Vimukte, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, text number 2. One must try to understand Krishna by serving a devotee. The word Mahat refers to a devotee. Atmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajantyanane manasho gyatva. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Bhagavad Gita 9.13. A Mahatma is one who constantly engages in devotional service 24 hours a day. So Prabhupada makes a very clear statement here. I just want to repeat this. A Mahatma is one who is constantly engaged in devotional service 24 hours a day. As explained in the following verses, unless one adheres to such a great personality, one cannot understand Krishna. Hiranyakasipu wanted to know where Prahlad had gotten this Krishna consciousness. Who had taught him? Prahlad sarcastically replied, "My dear father, persons like you never understand Krishna. One can understand Krishna only by serving a Mahatma, a great soul. Those who try to adjust material conditions are said to be chewing the chewed. No one has been able to adjust material conditions. But life after life, generation after generation, people try and repeatedly fail unless one is properly trained by a Mahatma or unalloyed devotee of the Lord. There is no possibility of one's understanding Krishna and his devotional service. Jai Srila Prabhupada. I just want to read the translation once more. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, person too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclination toward Krishna are never aroused, either by instructions of others, by their own effort, or by a combination of both. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So the next two verses, 31 and 32, you can read in your own timing. So that's, yeah. So basically, as devotees, we all know, right? We all know what is the purpose of life. What is the purpose of life, especially when we get the human form of life. Kamasya naindriya priti labo jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa narto ya cheha karma bihi. So right there in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that kamasya naindriya priti. That means the purpose of life is not simply to fulfilling our material desire and indriya priti. Indriya priti means to please the senses or to gratify the senses. Kamasya na indriya priti labo jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa. So when we get the human form of life, the primary purpose why we are getting this human form of life is to jivasya tattva jigyasa, to inquire about the absolute truth. To inquire about the absolute truth. Therefore, it is also mentioned in the Vedanta Sutra, Tatu Brahma Jigyasa, to inquire about the absolute truth. Na ato ya cheha karma bihi. There's no other business. There's no other purpose of getting human life except this one, to inquire about the absolute truth. So now this topic, what is the purpose of human life? The purpose of human life, we all know, right? To inquire about the absolute truth, surrender to Krishna, surrender to Krishna. Just like we can give a seminar actually to any other topics. Like, for example, let's say, who is God? Of course, for those who are from India or Eastern countries, well, we are not so foreign about who is God, right? Especially those who are from India, or whether God exists or not. Okay, as now we have came to this Krishna consciousness movement, we know that who is God? God is Krishna, and Krishna is great. But why there is a need to give such kind of talk again? You know, we heard this millions of times, maybe. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and so on. He's great, but it is not enough to simply know that Krishna is God without knowing how he's God. It's not enough to simply know that Krishna is great without knowing that how he is great. Because when we know how Krishna is great by different, his activities, his leelas, pastimes, and instruction, when we know how he is great, then we can intensify our love for Krishna. Just like, for example, if we fall in love to somebody, this is a gross example, but it's relevant. Yeah. For example, if you fall in love with somebody, okay, you know that, okay, he's the person I fall in love to, or to her, whatever. But the more you know the good qualities of that person, what is he doing or what is she doing, where is he working, I mean, good qualities, you will become more convinced and more attractive to love that person. So love means to serve. Love means to be subordinate. That's why Prabhupada give the meaning of bhakti. Bhakti means devotional service. So service, because when we love something or somebody, we put ourselves lower in position because we want to serve. We want to dedicate our life to that thing or to that person. For example, I don't have a car, but for example, I have a car. So I love my car. So I seemingly we think that I'm the boss of this car, but it's actually not. We are serving the car. We are taking care of the car. We clean the car. We take, properly the car. So similarly, service means we put ourselves subordination to Krishna. So that is bhakti, service. So this verse, come back to this verse again. So Mati na Krishna Paratasvatu. This verse is talking about what is the qualification, the qualification of understanding Krishna. So as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, that Prahlad Maharaj is actually sarcastically replying to the inquiries of Brahmanyakasipu. So Prahlad Maharaj said, Krishna can be understood only through devotional service. Those who are grihavratanam, too attached with sense gratification. Griha means actually field. Field. This is applicable for us, especially many of us in the Grihastha area. Grihastha field, in the Grihastha ashram. So grihavratana means the enjoyment in the field of being in the householder life. So when we are too attached with the enjoyment, and Srila Prabhupada explained many times in his purport in lecture also, the highest type of enjoyment is sexual enjoyment. So when we attach with this kind of sensual enjoyment, we cannot understand Krishna. Matirna Krishna, we cannot get attracted toward Krishna, toward Krishna Katha or toward the holy name. Therefore, the institution of Varnashram is actually very important. So when we talk about Varnashram, so there is an institution, of course, everybody knows here, called the Varnaprastha. So actually, as soon as we enter Grihastha ashram, we have to immediately think about Vanaprastha. Otherwise, if we keep planning that, okay, I'll do this, now I'm a Grihastha, I'm free to do whatever I want, then we'll become too much absorbed in the field of our householder affair, and we are forgetting the aim of life. Therefore, Pancha Udram Vanam Rajet, it is enjoined by the scripture that as soon as we reach the age of 15, Pancha Udram Vanam. So above 50, Vanam Rajet, we have to go to the forest. Of course, Vana means Vanaprastha also. That means we have to retire. We have to retire. Stop planning for, planning for this, for that, for material, comfortable position, situation, whatsoever. Because after 50 years old, actually, naturally, the body will become deteriorate and the chance to enjoy the senses naturally reduce. We cannot eat some certain type of food, for example, like that, digestion problem. So it's best time just to retire, 50 years old above, retired and engage more in Krishna consciousness, deepen our Krishna consciousness, be more Krishna conscious, and then preach about Krishna consciousness. So that's the advantage of getting human form of life. So this verse is talking about that. If we are too much attached with sense enjoyment, then it's just sense enjoyment is just like chewing the chew. We've been enjoying the senses for millions of lifetimes. But again, we are thinking, oh, this is a fresh thing. So it's simply a foolish idea that chewing the chew is actually so abominable. So abominable. You can imagine, you chew something, you spit out, and then you take that and then put in your mouth and chew again. So abominable. So material enjoyment is also like that. Sense enjoyment is abominable, abominable. And Prabhupada said that we are embarrassed by our own material desire. We are being kicked by Maya in every second, in every second. So yeah, chewing the chewed and Atina Krishna Parata Swatua. Parata means by others' instruction, Swatua by our own effort, or by combination of both. If we still holding holding the idea that I can be happy in this material world, then our effort to try to understand Krishna or advance in spiritual life is, a futile effort. Because Srila Rupa Goswami explained that material enjoyment and advancement in Krishna consciousness, they are going ill together. They are going ill together. Because you have to choose between the two, whether sense enjoyment or Krishna consciousness. Well, of course, who said that we cannot enjoy while being in Krishna consciousness? We can, but the idea is that we have to enjoy along with Krishna. And then the next verse of this one is the verse Nate Vidu Swatagatim Vishnu. So that verse is talking about the purpose of human life. The goal of life is to achieve Vishnu, to serve Vishnu. But the problem is that Nate Vidu Swatagat. Nate means many people. Nate Vidu means knowledge. Nate Vidu Swatagati. Swatagati means the goal of life. Swatagati. Vishnu is Vishnu. Not everybody understand that the goal of life is Vishnu, to render service to Vishnu. What Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the first line of his purport here. In this verse, the word Matena Krishna refer to devotional service rendered to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada clearly mentioned here devotional service rendered to Krishna, not to any other personalities, Krishna or Vishnu. That's why the next verse mentioning that Nate Vidu Swatagatim Vishnu. Not everybody understand that the purpose of life is to serve Krishna or Vishnu. In that sloka also, when Prahlad Maharaj mentioned 9 processes of devotional service, he continued by saying to satisfy Vishnu. And Srila Prabhupada, interestingly, in his word-for-word translation, Pumsar Pita Vishnu. So Prabhupada mentioned there in the bracket that only to Vishnu, not to any other demigods or any other personality. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us a very, very clear idea that who is the topmost personality that we have to serve. So iti Pumsar Pita Vishnu, Bhakti Navalaksana. So Navalaksana, these 9 items, 9 processes should be rendered to Lord Vishnu. Kreta Bhagavat Yada Tanmanye Ditamutam. Even if one is performing only one out of these 9 processes, he is considered to be Ditam Uttama, very, very intelligent. So Tama means darkness and Uttama means above darkness or beyond darkness. So if we cannot engage ourselves in these all nine processes of devotional service mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj, at least one, and that's also good. By attaching ourselves even with one service, one particular service, that will deliver us from the material entanglement. Also, they don't know. So just like a blind leader leading the blind society, blind man led by another blind man, what is the result? Andhaya Tandaya. Andhaya Tandaya means they will fall together in the ditch. Srila Prabhupada gave the translation. They fall together in the ditch. Blind man held by another blind man. So when the leader fall into the ditch, so the follower also fall into the ditch. Andaya tandai upaniyama. And then the next verse talking about how we can, how we can invoke, how we can revive this dormant love for Krishna. But actually, by nature, love for Krishna is already there in everybody's heart. Yeah, it is confirmed in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kavunoi Sravanadi Sudha Chite Karaye Udhoy. So Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadha Kavunoi. In everybody's heart, even inside the heart of a dog, this Krishna Prema is Nitya, is eternally established. But Srila Prabhupada explained that everybody is devotee, but some jiva, they remember that he is devotee of the Lord, and the other jivas, they are forgetting their constitutional position as devotee of Krishna. So it's just a matter of reviving again. It's just the matter of reviving again. And how we can revive that? Shravan Adi Sudachite Karai Udhoy. Udhoy means to revive. So Shravan Adi Sudachite, by the process of hearing. First of all, hearing. Shravan Adi. Adi means the foremost. Yeah. So yeah, how we can revive this bhakti, dormant love for Krishna in our heart is given in the text number 32. Naisam matis dava duru kramangri Spisatyanartha Pagamo Yadartha Mahiya Sampada Raju. So Mahiya Sampada Raju. Take the das of the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava and Abhisheka. Pour all over our head, our body. Now, what does it mean? Well, literally, that's also that's as simple as that. Take the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee and put on our head. Another meaning of that is that to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve the Vaishnavas. Actually, in many parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this point is being repeatedly again and again mentioned. We may think that, oh, Srimad Bhagavatam is redundant. It is not redundant. Redundant means when somebody is saying something again and again, repeating the same point. But if we analyze, it is not redundant because all these points are actually try to remind us again and again. Try to remind us again and again. We may hear it today. Yes, this is the fact. And then next second, we may forget it. So it's always good to always remind ourselves again and again. So that's the concept of the Srimad Bhagavatam, mentioning this point again and again. For example, in the earlier canto, Rishabhadev Maharaj instruction, in fact, Srila Prabhupada is quoting the verse here in his purport. Yeah. So same point again, mentioned by Rishabhadev, the first instruction that given by Rishabhadev in the 5th canto, 5th chapter, text number 1. Nayam deho deha bhajam nriloke kastan kaman arhati bhujam ye tapo divyam putra kayena satvam sudya yasmat brahma sakyam panatam. So Nayam deho, again mentioning about this deha, body, the human form of body, the human form of life. Nayam deho, na ayam. It is not meant for sense gratification. Nayam deho deha bhajam nriloke kastan kaman arhate bhujam. So Rishabhadev Maharaj said that with bhujam means stool eater, like the hog, like the pig, stool eater. So this sense gratification is also available for stool eater, with bhujam for the pig, for the hog. Kastan kaman arhate vid bhujam ye. Tapo divyam putrakaye nasatvam. And the purpose of life is to perform tapo divyam. Now, very interesting here that the purpose of life is to perform austerity to please the Supreme Lord Krishna. It is unlikely the Mayavadis, they are performing austerities, but that kind of austerity is actually fruitless. Fruitless in the sense of doesn't give any spiritual advancement. It's just self-torture. But our austerities in Krishna consciousness is called tapo divyam. Tapo divya. Divya means divine or transcendental. So our austerity in Krishna consciousness is also performed very joyfully. Susukam kartumavyayam. That's why Krishna mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Susukam kartumavyayam. That means pratyaksa avagamam dharmyam susukam kartumavyayam. This process, Krishna consciousness process, is joyfully performed. Susukam kartum. And how we understand that it is joyfully performed? Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means perception. That means we feel it. It is not that just philosophically or sentimentally we are saying that this Krishna consciousness is, so blissful, full of happiness. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Yes, the chanting of the holy name is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. But how do we perceive, how do we understand that the kirtan is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam unless we jump into it, unless we go deep into it? Unless we go deep into it, then we cannot relish the holy. We cannot relish the Sankirtan. So how we perceive? By doing it. So also how we understand that devotional service to Krishna is pleasing because we are doing it, we are experiencing it personally. It is not simply philosophy. Just like when you try to explain how mango is sweet, but you never tasted mango in your life, you may just end up by speculating something. So this tapo divyam is the austerity to please the Lord. That is called tapo divyam, and this process is so joyfully performed. So what is tapo divyam? Getting up early for Mangalarati, chanting the holy name, hearing the Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha is so nectarian actually, but it is due to our material fever, material jaundice, material disease. We cannot appreciate, we cannot relish the sweetness of Krishna Katha, the nectarian of Krishna Katha. Shat Krishna Nama Charita Disitapya Vidya Pito Patapta Rashanasya. We cannot taste the rasa. We cannot taste the sweetness, the nectarian of Krishna Katha. Shat Krishna Nama Charitadi, Krishna's holy name, Krishna's pastime, Charitadi, Sita Vidya. Actually, the holy names of the Lord or Krishna Katha, narration of the Lord, is just like Sita. Sita means the sugar candy. Sita Vidya, Avidya Pito Patapta Rashanasya. But due to material jaundice, our material, we are being affected by avidya, ignorance. Due to being covered by the modes of tamogun, lower modes of nature, tamogun, we are in avidya, so we cannot relish the sweetness of Krishna Katha. Sito avidya, pito patapta rasanasya narochi kanu. Na ruchi, we don't have ruchi, we don't have taste, because we are covered by ignorance. But Kintwa darat anudinam kalosaiva justam. But if we take this sugar candy on the daily basis, anudinam, we are known as the Rupanuga. Rupanuga means the follower of Rupa Goswami. So the word anu means following. So anudinam means day followed by another day. That means every day. If we take the sugar candy on the daily basis, yeah, Kintwa darat anudinam kalosaiva justam, then gradually this jaundice will be cured. The moment we taste the sweetness of sugar candy, we understand that our disease, our jaundice is cured. Kintwa darat anudinam kalosaiva justam. Swadui kramat bhavatitat gadamula hantri. So mula means the root. So our disease is deep rooted within our heart. That also will be uprooted. Uprooted means when you find a plant or a bush, you want to do some agriculture, for example. If you cut the bush, there will be always chance for this bush to, grow again. But if you uproot, then there is no chance to grow again because the root is already removed from under the ground. So like this. So this process this process, Krishna consciousness process, like chanting, hearing, Sravanam, Kirtanam, this process, if we continue this process on the daily basis, although in the beginning we don't have taste, we always fall asleep on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because we don't have taste to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. But if we little bit force ourselves in the beginning, just be here, neglect your mind. Neglect your mind means don't listen to your mind. Minds will always try to trick you. But if we just neglect our mind, okay, just sit here, listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, or just sit here and chant Hare Krishna, then by the due course of time, we will feel that, oh yeah, this Krishna Katha is so nice, the chanting is so nice. Then we understand that actually our disease, material jaundice, is cured. So yeah, Nayam Deho Deha, again, come back to that verse, Rishabhadeva Maharaj, that the purpose of getting human form of life is not for sense gratification, because when we too attach, if we too attach to Bhoga and Aishwarya, enjoyment, material enjoyment, and Aishwarya, opulent, Samadhavana Vidyate, we cannot be determined. Resolute determination cannot take place in our heart to advance in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Rishabhadeva Maharaj also mentioned that those who are running after sense gratification is actually a mad person, crazy. Dunam pramata kurute vikarma yadindriya pritaya apnoti. So yadindriya priti, those who are running after sense gratification, dunam pramata, they are just like madmen. Madman, just like a drunk person also. Drunk person doesn't understand what is he doing. So similarly also, when we have our eyes, our mind blinded by sense gratification, we are forgetting our good sense. We are forgetting our good sense. Vikarma. Yad, what is it? Vikarma. Yadi Nunam pramata kurute vikarma. So we may end up also by doing vikarma or sinful activities just for the sake of gratifying our senses. But for the devotees, for saintly people, we understand that sense gratification will give birth to klesha, or material miseries. Prahlad Maharaj also explained, Kandu yanena karayori. So the sexual desire is just like itching in the skin, you know. Yan maitun adi grahamedi sukam hitu cham kandu yanena karayor iwadu. So when we have itching sensation in our skin, on our skin, we scratch it, we feel like the pleasure sensation. We feel, oh, so nice. But the more we scratch, okay, the more we scratch, we feel good. But what happened? We'll end up by cutting ourselves. Blood will come out. So, andu yanena karayor iwadu. So, sense gratification, especially maitun means sexual intercourse, will give us a lot of trouble. Okay, reflect back. Okay, for those who are already married, reflect back. Or maybe that's different case. I don't want to take this example. Let's say like in the life of common people, general people. So just to gratify their senses, especially to gratify their sexual desire. So one must get married, right? One must get married, and then a lot of trouble will come, right? Even before the marriage, you have to prepare this, prepare that. You have to earn a lot of money to make house and to maintain a wife. Also, you have to please her by giving ornaments, shelter, food, and ornaments for women. Ornament is very important. Then we have to work hard, and the more we are enslaved by our material desire, the life becomes so miserable. But the moment we can control our mind, our senses, then we can be delivered. And that process, and the only process how to get rid of this entrapment of material desire is by performing Krishna consciousness, by pleasing Krishna, by performing Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Mahat Sevam Dwara Mahor Rishabhadev Maharaj continues. Mahat Sevam Dwara Mahor Vimuktis, Tamo Dwaram Yositam Sangisan. So Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahor Vimuktis. The path of liberation, Vimukta, is open when we start serving the great soul, the Mahatma, Mahat Sevam Dwara. Same instruction given by Prahlad here in text number 32. So how to get rid from our anartha? Lust, greed, anger, kam, lobha, moha, madam, matsarya. All this by serving the lotus feet of the Vaisnavas. And in fact, most of us who came to Krishna consciousness is actually by the mercy of the devotees. If we don't meet the devotees, we may end up somewhere else now. So by the devotees, whether by chance we are seeing the performance of Nagar Sankirtan or some devotee approaching us and give us some book. So by that little contact, actually that is enough to deliver our life. And then faith, attraction. Srila Rupa Goswami explained in the Nectar of Devotion, what is the qualification of a person to be engaged in Krishna consciousness or in devotional service. So he described that just by having little faith in the beginning, little attraction, little faith, maybe not big faith, but little attraction, curiosity. Yeah, Chaturvida Pajanti Mam Jana Sukritinojana Artu Jigyasu Artarti Gyani Cha Bharata. So Jigyasu, inquisitive, you want to know something. Just by that, actually, when you see strange people in the street with a shaved head, with the pony hair on the back, with tilak and kantimala and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. For us, before we join the Krishna consciousness movement, we may feel that these people is alien. These people are alien, or something strange. But when we become curious, we approach, and what happened? We get the association of the devotees. And in the association of the devotees, the first and foremost things that we have to do, we have to take advantage, is to serve the devotee, to please the devotees. Yeah, because we cannot jump directly to approach Krishna. Many times Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. That's why we start our day by Mangala Arati, and although we are performing Arati to Krishna, but whom we are glorifying? We are glorifying the spiritual master, the pure devotee of the Lord. Saksad Hari Dvena Samasta Sansa. That the spiritual master is Saksad Hari. He is directly Hari. He is directly Lord Krishna in the sense of is the representative of Krishna. So by pleasing the devotees, we can please Krishna. Because Krishna also mentioned to Arjuna, where is that in the Adi Purana, he mentioned that Yeme Bhakta Jana Partha Name Bhakta Chate Jana. Mad Bhakta Nam Chaya Bhakta Asteme Bhakta Tamo Mata. So Tamo Mata means my opinion. Krishna says to Arjuna, in my opinion, Yeme Bhakta Jana Partha. If somebody claim to be my direct devotee, so he is not my real devotee. But Mad Bhaktanam Chaye Bhakta. But if that person claiming and serving my devotee, to serve my devotee, the devotee of my devotee, so that person is actually my real devotee. That means just like we have very famous saying that you want to please me, please my dog. You love me, love my dog. That means the pure devotees is just like the pet dog of Lord Krishna. Yeah, very dear to Lord Krishna. That's why if you want to please the master, please the dog first. Please the dog first. And then when we serve the devotees, what happens? Susruso Sradadanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchishyan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirthanishya. So Syan Mahat Sevaya, again the word Mahat Seva in serving the great soul, repeatedly mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So what happened when we serve the Vaisnavas? Mahat Seva, Susruso Sradadanasya, we get the affinity, we get faith. Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirthanishya. So Sususho Sradadana Shya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. We get the taste, the affinity to hear Vasudeva Katha. Ruchi, Ruchi means taste. We get the taste to hear the glorification about Krishna. When we hear the glorification of Krishna, then through our ear, Satam Prasangan Mama Virya Samvido Bhavanti Hridkarna Kasayana Katha. So from our ear, actually, when we hear submissively and attentively, through our ear, it penetrates our heart actually. And then there are so many verses actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam glorifying how great it is, Krishna Katha, how great Krishna Katha is. Purify our Srinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridyanta Stoya Badrani. We do not teach to reach Satam. Krishna is already there within our heart. When we invoke ourselves by hearing Krishna Katha, so Krishna who's residing within our heart will purify our heart. Then we will be free from ignorance. Then we'll come to know that, oh yeah, the purpose of life is to be free from material entanglement, to serve the Vaisnavas by which I can please Krishna. So when we talk about Krishna, we cannot neglect the Vaisnavas. So when we talk about, for example, when we talk about Nrsimhadev, in every Nrsimha Chaturdasi, when you want to glorify Lord Nrsimhadev, you cannot avoid glorifying Prahlad Maharaj. When you want to glorify Sri Ram, for example, so Sita is there, Hanuman is there, Jatayu is there, Lakshman is there. So all these personalities will come into the picture automatically. So when we talk about Krishna, we cannot separate Krishna from the devotees of the Lord, because the devotees of the Lord, they are very, very dear to Krishna. Ham bhakta paradino hi aswatantra ivad vijayhi sadubir grasta hridayo bhakti. So ham bhakta paradino. Krishna says that I'm even controlled by my own devotees, by my own pure devotees. So it's 10 o'clock now. Actually, there are so many things I would like to say, but due to the time limitation, yeah, I just want to conclude this session by starting from the beginning of our discussion, that the first thing we have to remember is that sense gratification will not allow us to understand who Krishna really is. That's why Atasya Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grayam Indra Sevan Mukheji Vadal Swami Vaspuratya. So first thing we have to control is the tongue. By engaging our tongue in the chanting of the holy name and honoring prasadam. Then when the senses purified senses means when we no longer attracted to gratify our senses. That means purified senses. Then we can understand Krishna. So sense purification will not allow us to understand Krishna. That's first. And then secondly is that the aim of life is to achieve the favor, the mercy of Krishna. What is the greatest mercy of Krishna? Tau bau, what is that? Tau agyapayatam ritam, kim aham karavaniva, pumsa tyanugraho hiesham, pumsa tyanugraho hiesham, bodbir nam, bodbir yan yujyate. So this is actually the prayer in the 10th canto recited by Sudama Vipra. He mentioned to Lord Krishna in Dwaraka that Tau agyapayatam brityam. We are all your britya. Britya means servant. Kim aham karavaniva. Please order me to do whatever you want. Kim aham karavaniva. You tell me whatever to do, I'll do it. And then pumsa tyanugraho hiesham. Because service to your lotus feet is pumsa. Pumsa means human. Ati anugraha. Anugraha means the greatest mercy. So when we talk about, sometimes when we meet the devotees, please Prabhu, give me your mercy, blah, 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 and so on. Real mercy is actually when we are able to engage in Krishna's service. And then engaging in Krishna's service, the anugraho hiesham. Engaging in Krishna's service means engaging ourselves in the service of the Lord's devotee. Engaging ourselves in the Lord's in the service of the Lord's devotees. That's actually the powerful means by which we can please Krishna the most. Yeah, that's it. So the goal of life will be achieved when we serve the devotees of the Lord, and automatically we'll be purified, we'll be free from the entanglement of the material world, and then we obtain Krishna's mercy to engage in his service. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So I stop here. Whether any comments, correction, blessing, curse, questions, whatever, will allow. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So Sriram Prabhu, I'm finished.
Yeah, I like your word. Love means serving. That sentence, and you mentioned about the service on the last two. Sometimes we are also engaged in service, uh, but that spontaneous. If you see the deities, if you see the Lord, that natural attraction. At least for me, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't seem to appear. We are. I don't know. Sometimes I feel maybe my consciousness is not that pure, or I should do more. I mean, how we should understand these things, like.
Sriram Prabhu is asking this question to benefit all of us. He knows the answer. I'm pretty sure. How how to invoke our natural attraction toward Krishna when we see the deities, or natural attraction to some service. How? He knows the answer. So yeah, just for the sake of purifying myself, I'll try to answer according to what I have read, what I have heard from the senior devotees from Srila Prabhupada's book. Yeah, how to invoke that natural attraction? There are two types of perfection. There are two types of perfection. One is called Kripa Siddhi, one is called Sadhana Siddhi. So Siddhi means perfection. So Sadhana Siddhi means when we attain the perfection due to our effort. We are performing sadhana, following rules and regulation very strictly. Yeah, getting up early for Mangalarati, chanting our 16 rounds attentively, follow for regulative principles. This is called sadhana, our effort. And then Kripa Siddhi means the perfection that we get just because of the causeless mercy of Lord Krishna or his pure devotees. This is nicely explained in the Nectar of Devotion. So we have seen in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's so many pastimes by which actually the famous devotee of the Lord Narad Muni, he gave so many blessings to the fallen conditioned souls and made them into great devotees. Naturally, the attraction toward Krishna invoke when we get the blessing, the mercy of the great devotees. Secondly is that by our own effort. So when we combine this together, first we have to do from our side also, we have to put some effort. Secondly, we need the blessing of the pure devotees. Then only the attraction toward Krishna service or by seeing the deities will manifest. Prayer also very, very potent. Yeah, prayer, offering prayers is one of the 64 angas that given by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. Yeah, prayers and reciting prayers. There are two categories of reciting prayers. One is that we just pray to the Lord. We want to express our heartfelt prayers in the front of the deities. That one. And then second is that when we recite the prayers, which is already there, which is already recited by great personalities like Queen Kunti's prayers, Prahlada's prayers, and Dhruva Maharaja's prayers, Gajendra prayers, is Stuti, or Brahma Samhita prayers, Samhita. So praying also, praying is very potential to invoke the attraction by which we can get that natural affinity, natural feeling to, to be attracted by Krishna. But first of all, first and foremost is actually, just like mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj here, is that to serve the devotees. Because bhakti, Srila Viswana Chakravarti Thakur mentioned, explained that, of course, we know, we have discussed this, that in everybody's heart, bhakti is already established eternally. But Srila Viswana Chakravarti Thakur explained that bhakti is actually not something that we can get because of our effort. Bhakti is given by a person who has bhakti. Bhakti is given by a person who has bhakti. That means we have to approach Krishna, Krishna through his pure devotee. So come back to the question that how we can invoke this natural attraction when, for example, when we see the deities, we get attracted, or when we see the opportunity of service, we are very eager, eager, enthusiastic to perform that service. How? First of all, it's by purifying ourselves, by serving the Vaisnavas, by serving the pure devotees of the Lord. So naturally that attraction will come. Because another thing also that we have to avoid is that Vaisnava Parad. Vaisnava Parad is very dangerous, very, very detrimental in the advancement of our Krishna consciousness movement. Yeah, because Vaisnava Parad can destroy actually the Bhakti creeper. It is compared just like mad elephant. Mata Hati means the mad elephant. So yeah, of course, the method of advancing or to get natural attraction toward Krishna service is by serving the devotees. But while serving the devotees, while associating with the devotees, we have also be very careful to commit Vaisnava Parad. To commit Vaisnava Parad is very dangerous. Yeah, Vaisnava Parad. There is one pastime, quickly I would like to mention. There's one pastime when Srila Rupa Goswami was in Vrindavan. When Srila Rupa Goswami was in Vrindavan, so we know that who is Rupa Goswami? He is the Rupa Manjari. So there are two different group of the young maiden in Vrindavan. One is the Gopi, and another group is called Manjari. Manjari is slightly younger than the Gopis, so they don't directly involve with Krishna in Krishna's pastime, but they are assisting the Gopis. So Rupa Goswami, once he was in deep meditation in Vrindavan, he was witnessing the pastime of Shri Radha and Krishna. So the pastime was like this. So one time Srimati Radharani was decorated by the Gopis. Her hair was being groomed by the Gopis. And then actually they were in some kunja, some bushes. So while Srimati Radharani was decorated by the Gopis, so Lord Krishna was hiding in some bush, was hiding and looking Srimati Radharani was being decorated by the Gopis. Then after the Gopis finished decorating Srimati Radharani, now Srimati Radharani, she wants to see how she looked, and then she took a mirror and she looked at the mirror. So she looked very beautiful, and then somehow or other she saw Krishna hiding in the bush. So she saw Krishna through the mirror, and what happens? Srimati Radharani now she feels bashful. She feels shy. Shy is one of the greatest quality of a woman. Yeah. So she feels naturally shy because his beloved Krishna is watching her all the time while she was being decorated. And what happened? She feels shy, and all the gopis laugh, all the manjaris laugh, and Rupa Goswami was also laughing, witnessing this pastime, because Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. Then when he was in deep meditation, he was laughing. So one of the symptoms of a person who is in ecstasy is, laughing. Evam brata swapriya nama kirtya jata anurago drita chita uchaiya satya to roditi rauti gayati udmadavan nrityati lokavaya. Sometimes one will roll on the ground, sometimes will shout very loudly, sometimes shed tears. Udmadavan nrityati lokavaya. Sometimes he act like crazy person without he just neglect without concerning with the Madhavan. Nrityati loka bhaya. Nrityati loka means the people around the world. Doesn't matter what people say about me, no problem. I'm in ecstasy. I'm in love with Krishna. So like that. So yeah, Rupa Goswami was laughing because of in ecstasy. He was laughing, witnessing this pastime. And there was one devotee, Brajavasi, by name Krishna Das, would like to meet Rupa Goswami. And this Krishna Das, he is limping. Yeah, he is disabled person. He is limping. He cannot work properly. Cannot walk properly. And then when he reached in the front of Rupa Goswami, because Rupa Goswami was absorbed in this pastime, he's still laughing. And then when Krishnadas arrived, seeing Rupa Goswami laugh, Krishnadas felt that he felt offended that, oh, Rupa Goswami is such a very elevated person, but seeing me in this kind of situation, limping, he's making fun of me. He's laughing at me. And then what happened? Krishnadas left, being offended. He felt offended. Although we understand that Rupa Goswami has no any intention to offend Krishnadas, because he was in deep meditation, absorbed in Krishna's pastime, in ecstasy. He was laughing. He was laughing at Srimati Radharani. He was laughing at the pastime, not laughing at the this devotee Krishnadas. But because of that, what happened? Immediately, these pastimes, this meditation just broke up, just disappeared from the vision of Rupa Goswami. And he just opened his eyes and he realized that maybe I have done something wrong. And then finally he inquired, and actually this Krishnadas went to Sanatan Goswami, the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, and narrate what was happened. And then Sanatan Goswami explained that actually this is just simply misunderstanding. And then they brought these two personalities, Rupa Goswami and this Krishnadas, and explained the situation. And finally they apologized to each other. And then they embrace each other, offer the obeisances, and things becomes normal again. So what we understand from here is that even if unintentionally we are offending the devotees, or unknowingly we are offending the devotees, that may affect our attraction, our focus towards service to Krishna. So service to the devotees is very important, but while serving, while associating with the devotees, we have to be very careful to avoid the Hati Mata Aparat, the Vaishnava Aparat. So yeah, we need the blessing of the devotees. We need also to perform our sadhana with great effort. Dridavrata, Satatam Kirtayantomam Yatantascha Dridavrata. Dridavrata means with great effort. So Krishna also will reciprocate according to how much effort we put. Anyway, thank you very much. Sriram Prabhu, thank you very much for your question. You are purifying my heart, Hare Krishna, by your question.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was very touching. It's deep.
Yeah. Prabhu, Vamshali Prabhu, Mataji wants to ask questions.
Yeah, I think this should be the last because it's already 10:15. Hare Krishna. Yes, please. Prabhu. So what was the question?
Yeah, please ask Prabhuji. Vamshali Prabhu is there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Please go
Vamshali
ahead.
Prabhu.
Vishnuratha Prabhu, please extend my humble obeisances. Thank you
Yeah.
for the nectarian class, Prabhu. You were again and again mentioning how hearing about Krishna is nectarian, and we are glad to experience that hearing from you, Prabhu. Prabhu, one question I had was how to, like, we are we are hearing on daily basis, but the transformation or the change of heart, it's not coming. So how to make, like, what is blocking or how to overcome that gap?
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. So we are hearing on a regular basis every day, but the transformation within our heart doesn't take place. So how is that? Why it is like that? Yeah. Well, while hearing also there are different methods on how to hear. So what is that? Sadyo Hridya Varudya Titra Kritibi Susu Subis Daksana. First, we have to hear attentively and submissively. This is called culture. If you read the translation of the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's mentioned that by this culture, so the Supreme Lord will manifest in our heart. So what is that culture? Sadyo Hridyava Adhyate Kritibi and Susubi. Kritibi Susubi means attentively and submissively. We have to hear. So just like when we are entering our house, yeah, we leave our shoes outside the house. We don't step in with the shoes that we wear outside inside the home. So similarly like that also, as soon as we sit on the Srimad Bhagavatam class, throw all the so-called knowledge that we have. Otherwise, you will end up by thinking that, oh, I heard this already. Yes, I know this. Then the transformation in the heart will not take place because we are not submissive. And then we have to hear also very attentive. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, once he noticed that Srila Prabhupada was always very, very attentive when he was hearing lecture from his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he pointed at Srila Prabhupada. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned that you are very, very attentive in hearing the Bhagavatam. You will advance in Krishna consciousness very, very soon, very rapidly. So by doing this two things, attentively and submissively. For example, like, okay, I have one cup here. Imagine there's another cup in my hand, another hand. So this cup filled up with water, and this cup is empty. Now, how can I transfer the water from this cup to this empty cup? So naturally, the position of this empty cup should be lower than the cup which is filled up with water. That's called submissive. But the moment this cup putting itself in a higher position, when this cup pouring water, then the water will spill. So like that also, the transformation within the heart, because Srila Sanatan Goswami glorified the Srimad Bhagavatam in his book, Krishna Lila Stava, Asadu Sadhu Tadayen Atinicho Chatakara, Hana Muncha Kadache Mam, Premna Harit Kantayuspura. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam, will transform the asadu into asadu into sadhu. So asadu sadhu tadaye ati nicho chatakara hana muncha kadache mam. Please don't ever leave me. Sanatan Goswami said, please don't ever leave me. Hana muncha kadache mam prem nahrit kantayus pura, because the Srimad Bhagavatam can invoke the prema, prem nahrit, invoke the prema in our heart. So when we submissively hearing the Bhagavatam, then only the transformation of the heart will take place. Otherwise, when we carry all the so-called knowledge that we have when we sit on the Bhagavatam, so instead of receiving the message given by the speaker, we are in our mind, we are arguing. No, this is wrong. He's mentioning something wrong. The correct one is like this. So when we enter or when we just sit on the Srimad Bhagavatam, just like we leave our shoes outside before entering the room, so leave all the so-called knowledge that we have. That means we are submissive and be attentive. Be attentive to what the speaker says. So by these two things, it is right there in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Why it is given in the beginning of the Bhagavatam? because the method is like that. Just like when you buy a new car or a new bike, whatever, there will be a manual book to guide you how to operate that. So before entering deeper into the Srimad Bhagavatam, so Vyasadeva is giving the method how to listen, how to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam by Kritivi and Susubis, submissively and attentively. This is called culture of hearing. Yeah, culture of hearing. Because we understand that Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is actually, Krishna's literary incarnation. The incarnation of Lord Krishna in the form of book, the form of Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavad Chutamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So in that verse, Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, you kindly read that verse and purport, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavata, two types of Bhagavata, Prabhupada explained that. One is book Bhagavata, one is the Vaishnava Bhagavata. So yeah, when we hear attentively, what happened? Pravrista Karnarandrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dunoti Samalam Krishna Salila Shayata Shara. So Pravrista Karnarandrena, by rendering our karna, our ear, Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dunoti Samalam Krishna. Krishna already there in our heart, he will cleanse our heart. Just keep hearing. And therefore it is mentioned here, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. It is not that once you hear, immediately your heart will be transformed. No, therefore this process is Nityam, eternally. So if we read the Srimad Bhagavat Mahatmya, there is a conversation between the Srila Narad Muni and the Chaturkumara. Yeah, so Narad Muni is asking Chaturkumara, so how often we have to hear the Bhagavatam? How often or how much we should hear? Is it 1 year and then enough? Or after I finish 12 canto and my study on the Bhagavatam is finished and I can relax? But what the answer given by the Kumaras to Narad Muni, very interesting. Mentioned that Sada Sevya Srimad Bhagavati Katha. Sada Sevya. That means we should hear it again and again, from time to time. Sada Sevya. We should serve. When we hear, we understand that this is service. Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So this is service. Hearing is also service and very fundamental service. Sada Sevya, Srimad Bhagavati Katha. What is it? Srimad Bhagavati Katha. Yasya Sravana Matrena Harischarya Nivarnana. So Yasya Sravana Matrena. Matra means only. Only by hearing. Yasya Sravana Matrena. So only by hearing on the daily basis, eternally, again and again. Harischarya Samasraya. Harischarya Samasraya. Lord Hari will manifest in our heart. So there are so many evidences from the different scriptures that establishing just this one point, regularly hearing. So don't feel discouraged that, oh, now I'm hearing already 1 month, already 1 year, I'm hearing, or even 10 years I'm hearing. Why the transformation is not taking place? Understand that we've been doing nonsense for millions of lifetimes. What is the comparison between these 10 years and millions of lifetimes? It's nothing. Therefore, this process should be continued. Don't feel discouraged. So keep hearing on the daily basis. And in one final day, we'll find ourselves that our heart is transformed. So one of the symptoms of a person in bhava, explained by Rupa Goswami, is hope against hope. We keep hoping. Yeah, don't feel discouraged. Keep hoping and keep doing and hoping. Not simply hoping, but also followed by effort. And one day we'll find ourselves in Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. So this world is just like dreaming. So we'll wake up one day in Goloka Vrindavan and we understand, oh yeah, that was a bad dream. That was nightmare being in the material world. Just continue the process. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
So, Sriram Prabhu, I would like to take your permission to withdraw myself and all other devotees. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Such a nice discussion very enlivening. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for your time, and we'll hope to hear from you more times. Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Jai Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
So please forgive me. I apologize if anything I have said not according to Sadhu Sastra. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Vishnu Prabhu ki jai.